Of all the trust components, we have the age, the authority, the content, and of course the relevancy. The content is going to be one of the primary things that are in your total and complete control, especially when we're dealing with your website. When we're dealing with authority sites, it's a little bit different. You don't have full and complete control of the content, but you do have a pretty good say in what happens in that content. You might not be able to do all the types of cool linking things and stylized things that you can do on your own website, but we'll get into authority content later. But for now, I want to talk to you about content and how important content, really, really good content is. Today, with Google, you want to have high value content. There's no other way that you're going to rank at the top of Google SERPs if you don't have excellent content. So what does that mean? Now that comes back to our two concepts from the very, very beginning where we talked about forging value and building trust. Now, when you forge value, you're developing high quality content that's unique and well researched. What happens when you do that? You build trust. You build trust with Google and you build trust with other people. When people like your content, what are they going to do? They're going to share that content. They're going to post it on social media sites. They're going to talk about it in blog comments. They're going to talk about it in forums. And that's the whole point. You have to deliver excellent content so that it is shareable. Now, when we talk about trust through content, we're really talking about the content that you're going to write. Now, content is king. It has total control over the web. Now, if you can write excellent content or deliver excellent tutorials in a video format or whatever format you can muster up, then that's how you're going to really build that rank with Google. That's how you're going to increase your positioning on Google SERPs, and that's how you're going to increase the authority of your domain. So what do we want to do is we want to focus on creating unique, high-quality content. So when we talk about unique, obviously we don't want to duplicate content. Now that's a huge no-no. No matter what you do, you cannot duplicate content. I don't care what it takes. You just cannot duplicate content whatsoever. I mean, that's an absolute no-no. So make sure that you stay away from trying to duplicate any type of content out there. If you're going to spin content, then make sure that you have your own unique take on it. Don't just try to rewrite something that somebody else wrote and present it as, something that you did yourself. Now, you have to come across with something that's unique. I mean, maybe you want to take a unique take on some topic, or you want to offer some unique insights. That's what Google really, really loves. It doesn't want to see you mimicking somebody else. Now, of course, it has to be high in quality. So what does that mean? Not only does it have to be well written, I mean, you have to ensure that it's free of any errors when it comes to spelling. It has to be grammatically correct, so you don't want to have a bunch of errors in there. Now, Google isn't going to ding you enormously for a small error here or there, but if you add up all those errors, then you are going to drop in the SERP. So you want to ensure that you keep things high quality and make sure that you check your work over. Don't just push something out there and fail to read it over and go through it again. Give it a good thorough read and read it a few times and correct all of your mistakes that are in there. Now, you also want the content to be crawlable. You want search engines to be able to find it. Now, we talked about some stuff with the URL and other kind of on-page factors that would include things like, the meta description and stuff like that. You want Google to be able to find it and crawl it easily and not be confused by it. And user experience. Now, the user experience is going to relate to the overall user experience on the website, when we talked about navigational elements and stuff like that, but user experience also within the content itself. Now, this relates to having content that's easily sectioned out with paragraphs and nice headings. You don't want to clump huge paragraphs together. You want something that's easily readable. Just take a look at any popular blog and you can see how well they section stuff out and use things like headings properly, nice links, and things look just pleasing to the eye, and it's going to be pleasing to Google. So that's what you really want to focus on. You want to focus on creating something with a nice user experience. You could use lists. Google loves lists, whether they're the numbered lists or unnumbered lists. Lists are really, really great, especially if you're doing something called the elongated list posts, which are some of the best ranking pieces of content out there, and we'll discuss that when we get to the strategy section. And you want to make your content keyword centric. So, we talked about keyword research. You want to ensure that you're developing content that has a minimum keyword density, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the keyword density stuff. And you want to make sure that you're using the right combination of LSI keywords versus exact match keywords. And of course, you want to have your content be responsive. Responsive just means that it looks the same, or you're able to read it and it doesn't lose its readability on different platforms. So when we're looking at it on mobile or we're looking at it on a tablet, we're not super confused by it. It doesn't get all broken up. We're able to navigate it still, and it's responsive. So the content really has to tick all of these different things off. These are really, really important when it comes to developing any type of content. Now, when we talk about the content, we're talking about on-page SEO, of course. If you're familiar with web development, then great, then you're kind of ahead of the game here. But if you're not familiar with web development, then there are a couple of important things to keep in mind here. Now, the content is going to live between the body tags. Now, if you're using WordPress, then you don't have to really worry about this kind of stuff, but it's still good to have a decent understanding of what's going on behind the scenes of the architecture of the web page. We're also going to want to, when we talk about the content, we're going to also want to ensure that we have a nice image that has a higher resolution, and we're also using an alternative tag to describe what that image is about, because Google can't read what's in an image, at least not yet. They're working on an artificial intelligence system, which is having some hiccups right now, but it will be able to read the basic tenets of what's inside of an image, a background, scene, people, animals, houses, cars, etc., etc. But for the time being, you really have to tell Google what's inside of the image by using the alt keyword. Now, when you upload an image with WordPress, you can use an alternative description. We'll look at some of that stuff later. But also, when we do bold tags, strong, we will do some of that stuff when it comes to developing keyword-centric content. Now, what are some of the on-page factors? Now, the on-page factors, of course, we talked about the on-page SEO is everything that happens on the page itself. Now, this is the optimization of everything on your website. This includes all of the, HTML, architectural stuff, and of course also the content on the specific page. Now, how that is presented, with the URL and everything like that. We kind of got into that stuff already. So the good content, why does Google want really, really good content? Because Google knows that good content will supply a demand, and there's a huge demand for high quality content. Now, Google's aim is relevancy. It wants to present the most relevant information to people that are searching for it, and it wants to do that quickly. It doesn't want to have people searching all around for it. That's why the user experience stuff is important too. When we spoke about the information that is presented above the fold versus below the fold, you don't want people clamoring to go past a bunch of ads and huge headers to try and find what they're looking for. You want to present them with that content clearly and visually crisp right there in front of their eyes, not have to search around for it too much. So good content supplies a demand, and good content is also linkable. And from an SEO perspective, the link building, the authority, as we call it, is really kind of one of the basis of good SEO. That's one of the trust components that we talked about when we said age, authority, and content. So good content is going to be linkable. People are going to want to share your excellent content. So you really do have to focus on writing superb content. It doesn't matter what you do. You have to really, really put the time into this. Now, if you're not a great writer, get good at it, or find somebody that can help you. But if you're going to find somebody that can help you, say you're going to put out something on Elance or Guru.com, it's going to cost you. So you have to keep that in mind. So good content is linkable. Google knows that. So that's why you're going to have to focus on writing really, really excellent content. You're going to want to have people share that content and find it, because it's going to be keyword targeted, keyword centric, as I said already. So you have to really, really focus on that. Now, when it comes to the content itself, we have the title tag. The title tag is very, very important for Google. Now, the title tag is that title that's displayed in Google search listings. So when you search for something, you see the title, it comes from the title tag. Now the title tag, for example, in WordPress is created by the title of the article or the page name that you're creating. So that's pretty straightforward stuff. We talked about the URL stuff. We want to have something that's clear and readable and understandable. There are a lot of best practices when it comes to writing the content, and the best way to do it is really to analyze some good content. But we looked at some of the important stuff. Now, there are going to be some things that you want to keep in mind when you're writing that content. You want to have a link that goes to relevant content both on your website and also outside of your website. And when we do that linking, we're going to have to do the REL is a no follow. Again, we'll get into more of those specifics later, but for the time being, just keep in mind that you want to have this unique, high quality, crawlable content that's provides a really excellent user experience. You want people to really benefit from this content. Now, you could also help people benefit from it further by adding multimedia. Google loves multimedia. So let's say you write a piece of content, you write something about, the top 10 resume tips for writing a resume if you're just trying to get a job. Now, you want to find something that relates to that content. You want to find maybe a video tutorial or something like that, or you want to create a video tutorial yourself and embed it in the content, then great. And this works really excellent, for example, for when you want to try to teach something to somebody that really does require a video tutorial. For example, replacing the screen on your broken iPhone or something like that. Multimedia is an excellent way. So you really have to focus on creating that user experience again, and that it's keyword centric. We're hitting that minimum keyword density, and again, we have to be careful with that because, as we discussed, with those algorithm updates, we want to make sure that we're not doing something that looks spammy or forced. We'll get more into that stuff later, but for now, keep that in mind. Focus on the high quality content. Again, everything that you do has to be superb value. So we're forging value and we're building trust, and to do that through the content is one excellent avenue to do that, and Google is expecting you to do that. So don't try to skimp on that. Don't try to take shortcuts. Don't try to do something that isn't above board. So really focus on doing stuff the right way, regardless, and do it the best way that you possibly can and provide high value content.